Woo. Look at him. Yo. All right, he said what up from Chile. So we're gonna hop into the rest of the engine build. It's almost the same process for taking it out. This one you want to be a little bit more careful because when the snap ring comes out, it just comes out fast. So pick into the little pocket that was there before. Just pop it up. The weight is on it when you put it down on the table. So, all right, we got one corner up. Put a little rag here just to kind of dampen it, and that was it. Now let's just jump to this one next. Same thing here. Cover it, pop it up. Alright, most of it's up. Alright, that's out. So make sure you keep note of which one is which. Obviously one's a little bit cleaner than the other, so you shouldn't really have too many mistakes there. Let's get this wrist pin out. There it goes. And I'm gonna put this snap ring inside the piston like so. Put this over here for 1 second. Sometimes these things move out easily and sometimes they don't. So this one doesn't seem like it's gonna go too easily. Right here. Now, this is an 11 millimeter. It's 12. Pop the bearing out. Let's get a reading on the rod. So I'm getting 125 millimeters from side to side. I'm trying to wiggle it, so yeah, 125 millimeters. It's called 126. Let's pop this bearing out. Keep that bearing over here, and let's check. They're the same length. Yeah. So they're the same length, which means that they're meant for the same stroke. It's just I think when we opted to get the larger bolts, the design of the rod had to change to support the larger bolt. So this bolt is definitely thicker. The head, it's a larger thread head of the shank of the bolt. So with this larger bolt, we're having issues with the embossment right there. I think what I'm gonna end up having to do is just mill the sides down and just get them, a few millimeters shorter so we can get into the cylinder bore. Let me just set the machine up. I'll probably just run these through, get them down, and then, which means I'm gonna have to do this for all 6 rods. Things you have to think about when you're building these engines and upgrading parts. Anyway. Oof, luminescence. Because I had to end up machining all of these ends right here. There's this guy, so you can see this a little better. So before there was like a little lip right here that came out. I believe I showed in the last clip. So I ended up taking these down. So I put it on the end mill, machined it, and even though I machined it flat, what was happening, it was right on the edges, they were still touching. So what I did was just get the cookie or grinding disc, a small grinding disc. I just went over the edges, kind of smoothed them out, went over here, just to clean it up and have everything smooth. So now all of them actually fit in the bore. But what the problem I'm having is, I went to go put cylinder 2, rod and piston into cylinder 2, and it started binding up. So this is one. Well, I have 5 in right now. As you can see, just regular fluid motion, right? So what's happening is now on cylinder 2, I believe right on the edges right there are catching on the crank. So either the crank is just slightly machined like a little different, or technically these rods are different because the crank is the crank. It's basically a standard thing. So I gotta end up taking the face of these down. So what I'm gonna do is just put these two together. Took the bearings out already. Kind of wiped it down a little bit. So I'm gonna take the bearings out. I took the bearings out. I'm going to put these together and touch the faces. Basically, this face right here. I'm just gonna put it on the belt sander and take it down a couple thousandths on each side, and hopefully that's it. All these rods are supposed to have play, like, you know, a few thousandths clearance between the crank and the caps and the rods. But for some reason, this one was just a little machined a little thick, a little chunky. So I'm gonna put this one on a little diet, throw it back in there, and see what happens. All right, so here we have the pistons in the cylinders, all of them in the bore. Rings are orientated properly, and I just threw the head gasket on. So next is get the head on, then put on the head studs. I already wiped down the head so it's clean. And then here we go. Just gotta remember the orientation for the intake and exhaust. Not that it's too complicated on these V's, but always gotta make sure. And that's it. The head is on. And that's it. The job is done. Here you go, Jose. Ta-da! That's it. Put this shit in the car or fire this shit up. Sit. Done. Anyway, wait. Oh, you stopped recording already? Alright, so this is as far as I'm gonna take it with the VR6. Tomorrow's another day. Put in the head studs, torque those down, then get all the covers on, get the oil pan on, get the pickup tube, all the accessories covering, and then seal this engine up. So it's been a long day, and this is where we're gonna leave it. Welcome back to the channel. As you see here, I have the engine, the long block essentially set up on the stand. I already torqued the head down. You know, I just came in, I just knocked it out. I thought I was gonna be recording and stuff, but you know how it goes, sometimes you just wanna crank through it. But in the meantime, I figure I might as well paint it because, you know, as you can see on the block, it's a little rusty, it has some rust spots. And just to kind of make it look nicer, I already threw a chain on here. I'm gonna lift up the engine, get the engine off the stand, and get it floating so I could finish taping up the backside and also clean down the block in the back so I can get the tape on it and then obviously be able to paint it. So thanks for tuning back in, watching the build, and like, share, subscribe.